What up? This is Rama Screen, and it's time for another celeb interview. And in the anticipation of Triggered, which arrives on demand and digital November 6th, I'm here talking with one of the stars of this new movie, Sean Cameron Michael. How are you, Sean? How are you?
Good in yourself, Rama. Trying to remain sane in the insanity and the craziness of this world right now.
I totally get it. And thank you for taking the time. Congratulations on this film. I recently watched it and it was a total blast, literally and figuratively. You are widely considered as one of the most successful export talents from South Africa to Hollywood. You've done a number of films and TV shows, including my favorite, Black Sails. God, that show was
Oh,
brilliant.
cool.
So, how did you get on board Triggered? What was it about Alistair and David Jones's script that drew you to it?
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of horror actually.
Mm,
I'd only done one horror movie last year called Fried Barry, which is sort of doing the festival circuit right now. And so I really hadn't done a lot of horror, and I was a big fan of Alistair's. He's really a young up and coming South African director who's done a couple of movies, and I really wanted to work with him. And I'd I was in South Africa. I was about to jump in a plane back to Los Angeles, where I've been based for the past 5 years. And he said to me, let me send you the script. I know that you're supposed to be going back to Los Angeles, but have a look at the script. It's a small role, but it's fun. What do you think? And I love the script. If I'm reading something in bed at night with a cup of coffee next to me, or maybe a glass of wine, and I'm getting scared, and I'm curious, and I'm laughing out loud at some of these ridiculous one-liners, then you're onto something good. So I love the idea of doing horror. I love the idea of working with Alistair, and Peterson seemed like a really complicated character, and I've played a lot of those. I've never played a school teacher before, so yeah, it seemed like a really, really fun project to be part of. Yeah.
Even if you only showed up very briefly, but you did make your mark in this film, like your presence was really known as the character Peterson. Your role
Yeah.
sort of lets the audience know that this is not some random thing, that these bunch of friends actually may indirectly have gotten themselves into this situation. In your
Yeah.
conversation with Alistair and David, in your exchanges with them, what were some of the stuff that you guys make sure it's there in the process of shaping Peterson? Did you put your own spin, or did you go mostly by what's on the pages?
Yeah, I mean, what I always do when I approach a role is, I just try to sort of figure out, what makes this person tick, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, why are they in this situation. The script was great, so I really didn't have to change any of that dialogue. And Alistair was awesome as an actor's director, that he really gave me absolute freedom to make the character my own. And as you say, I mean, over the years, I've played some pretty intense characters, and Peterson is this school teacher whose son has died from a drug overdose. His wife has subsequently committed suicide because of this, and Peterson's life has fallen to pieces, and he has spent the past couple of months trying to figure out what really happened. And he pinpoints these 9 kids. He blames them. They were Caleb's friends, or supposed to be his friends, and so he blames them. He feels that they are responsible, and he goes out to seek revenge. So yeah, I mean, Alistair and Arie and David Jones, absolutely gave me a lot of freedom into how I wanted to play the character, and if it worked, then that's awesome.
And it did. I agree with you. Talk
Thank
to
you.
me. Talk to me about the bomb vests. What was it like wearing them? And are they as sophisticated as they look with the countdown timer and the buttons? Or was that mostly done in the post?
I believe it was a combination of both. That I think they were designed somewhere in the States, originally for something like laser tag, or Alistair and the guys had like sort of seen this like in video games or something. And they apparently had a lot of problems with them, where they were
Hmm.
breaking, not working. Some of the lights weren't working, so there was some post involved with that. Because obviously, I mean, you've got these characters running through the woods and doing these action sequences and fighting and screaming and going insane. So yeah, they had a couple of difficulties having to replace vests and fix them and figure things out. And also, obviously, it was pouring with rain most of the shoot. And so it was very, very challenging in that sense. Luckily, my character didn't actually have to wear one of those vests, but I think as an actor, there's nothing more sort of constricting for you as a character or as an actor when you've got something actually strapped to you. It's very. I mean, and you sort of talk about something, let's say like black sails, where I was like wearing lots of wigs
Mm.
in black sails, and for me that was, I had to do wig acting. That was very sort of constricting. It was a very, very strange thing. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things as actors. You have these challenges.
No. You work with a lot of younger South African actors in this film, Lizzle, Reina, Steven Soraya. I'm sure many of them look up to you for your experience. What do you usually tell South African actors who want to break into Hollywood? What advice do you usually give them?
South Africa is a wonderful destination where so many international TV series and films have been shot over the past 20, 30 years. South
That's
Africa
true.
is one of the biggest sort of servicing countries. So even Black Sails, was shot for 4 years in Cape Town, in South Africa. So my advice always to actors is, try and get as much experience as you can on these major productions being shot in South Africa, and certainly do as much indie film that you can to just get a nice impressive resume together, and also for yourself as an actor. For me, I could have gone over to Hollywood when I was in my 20s, but I just didn't feel confident in my ability, in my craft. And it was only 6, 7 years ago, coincidentally, after doing Black Sails, after doing 2 seasons of that I thought, okay, I now feel ready. I now feel ready to conquer Hollywood, because especially for South Africans, we have this idea in our mind of like, oh my God, Hollywood and the Hollywood Boulevard and the stars of Hollywood and all that sort of thing. And so we have our own idea of this sort of fantasy. And yeah, sure, Los Angeles or Hollywood has some of those elements, but it's the competition in the United States, and certainly in Los Angeles and New York, is crazy, crazy tough. In South Africa, if I'm in South Africa and I'm auditioning for a TV series or movie, I may be going up against maybe 10, 15 people in my sort of age group or my sort of look. Whereas in Los Angeles, every time I audition for something, I'm going up against an absolute minimum of 2,000 people with the same kind of resumes. So the competition is insane. So yeah, I mean, my advice always to actors is really, sort of work at your craft, get as much experience, as you can. Get the opportunity, to work with directors in your own country, and then when you feel ready to and confident to go for it, absolutely give it a go.
Finally, you've got several upcoming projects in your belt, many of which are in pre-production. How are
Mhm.
those projects faring in these tough pandemic times? Are they being delayed, or will you get around to doing them anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, AST is a thriller trilogy that we've been trying to actually get off the ground for the past 2 years, and it's really all about funding. And obviously, right now, as you know, the whole industry is sort of in quite a flux of what are they going to put money into. And certainly the streamers like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, they are looking for content. So yeah, as I said, AST, ideally, because it's sort of a bigger budget film, we would ideally want a theatrical release, and it is really all about funding. So that may sort of be delayed until maybe later next year. Collision's another movie that I've also been writing on and helping produce on, which is also in pre-prod, and we, fingers crossed, depending on the international borders opening or not. Um, we've got our French director, but he's sitting in Los Angeles, so we need to get him over to South Africa for that. So it really is. It really all depends about what happens, with lockdowns and international travel and flights and stuff like that. But it's giving us time to just sort of work on that, polish that script and just get things as tight as possible. So we are optimistic and we're hopeful to get some of these projects off the ground.
And I'm optimistic for you. And for everybody at home, my fans, go check out Triggered, which arrives on demand and digital November 6th. Sean, Cameron, Michael, thank you so much for talking to me and congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.